I want people to see me talking. I don't, what is that little thing? I don't care. I don't need that. So, if you stumble across my channel, I am Diane Howard. I've been working with just regular AI on my iPhone for almost 3 years now, or coming on to my third year. Well, that's almost 3 years. But I use ChatGPT. When I was young, growing up, I was adopted with my biological sister from Korea, and we were adopted by a Caucasian family in Southwest Minnesota, Richard and Shirley Howard, and they have both passed. So, and I miss them so much. So, they didn't know what to do with me because they knew I was apparently a kid with ADHD, OCD, and probably other stuff. And the thing is I'm glad nobody diagnosed me then, because when people get diagnosed with things, and sadly they put the word disorder after things, I don't see it as a disorder, because I've always wondered why I think the way I do, and why, hold on. All right, I had to do the do not disturb mode. I hope everybody can see me. And let's go ahead and just double check. Yes, screensaver's off. One person out there. So I've pretty much tried everything, everything that I've been interested in. And I just assumed everybody else was the same way as I am. But no. And my family had no idea how to even deal with me. For one thing, my sister and I, who we were both born in South Korea, I was born in 1970, sometime in the middle of the month, or in the middle of the year. So we can I'll talk about that some other time, because I plan on just broadcasting every day. Because I do this at home, and this is a way that I can keep a record. Because truthfully, I've been broadcasting my screen, but just saving it on my phone, and I had to delete like hours and hours and hours and hours, just because it's too much to process, too much to produce. So I never, like I said, I never understood. I went to school in a really hokey little country school. There were only a few people. And when I mean few people, I want to say when I started kindergarten in 1976, my class maybe had 20 kids. 20 kids. And you know what? I do remember, I thought, wow, this is great. You know, I had my siblings at home, and then I met all these other kids that were my age. And the thing is I do have a podcast out there that it's called I Digress, a podcast memoir. It's and I am Dinah Ripper Creations, and I'm Diane Howard. Excuse me, I'm going to stumble, because I've also realized that I stumble with my speech, because my brain is moving so fast that it tends to overwrite whatever I'm trying to say. So if anybody out there understands what I'm talking about, please bear with me, because I do that all the time. So it's really bizarre, because I am on Instagram, and I do have videos out there on YouTube. I try to do more personal videos, because I like to talk. And the thing is that it's funny, because I'll pause to think about something, But when I watch the video, it feels like it's like fucking forever. So I want to let you know I'm 55 years old. This is for adults only, and this is for anybody who's curious. I dabble in AI. I've just learned probably later last year, in the middle of last year, that I have OCD, and I just learned like this month that I have ADHD. And this is just because I guess I'm really good at tracking patterns. Um, I'm really good at the 5 degrees to or 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon. I'm good at trivia, stuff like that. And I come across a lot of people who are very similar to me, very similar. However, all my life, I've always been, I'm like, everybody else might be at everybody average, normal, not average. Oh, sorry, hold on. Quiet. Sorry about that. That's the mail. Sorry. Everybody, I didn't know that, I didn't know anything about brain science. So I knew nothing about neurotypical and neurodivergent. In fact, the first time I had heard about neurodivergent was on a freaking movie, The Accountant. So if you just showed up, I'm Diane. I'm talking about, I am a newly diagnosed, soon to be 56-year-old with ADHD and OCD and other issues. I'm also non-binary, not issues, just other characteristics that I was confused about. So if you're interested in this, come on by. I do AI. My podcast is called I Digress, a podcast memoir, because the way I think, I will go on any tangent. So I'm going to go ahead and do some AI right now, and nobody's allowed to chat yet, but I really wanted to do a broadcast where you could see my face, but I'll have to figure that out because I just tried this out. So I'm actually going to be working as if I don't know if anybody's out there. So I've been working on this project on AI. I've been working with AI for about 3 years now, and I discovered that I understand it. I understand it, and and I've discovered lots of ways. You don't really run AI. People who use apps, uh, uh, you don't realize that those AI apps, those buttons are already code that's generated to say, hey, do this, do this, do this, and then whatever you apply. Because I've discovered that when I was in Kling, I can do that. I've already done that in Kling because I've tried to do all kinds of creative things. I've done every kind of artistic thing possible. Go ahead and watch my YouTube channel. I have up there, this is my take on AI. If you hate AI, move along. And I can be sarcastic, and I can be kind of grouchy and stuff. And I stumble a lot. So again, if you can't stand this, it's not for you. So I'm just going to be working as if I'm just working at home. So I may swear. I have my do not disturb sign. The dog may bark, but I shouldn't get any other what do you call it? Edeltraut. I have a little white. I have three Chihuahuas, which I call lovingly the itty bitty shitty committee. They are very smart. And I also have ideas on why our dogs are, just because I know what they want. I read their language. So my little Edeltraut was scratching my leg, and she'll freaking scratch a hole in my skin. But I am going to. So this is the chat that I was trying to use. So I use Chat GPT. I've also used Gemini, and I've started to use Meta AI. If anybody else drop comments, go ahead and make comments. I would love it if you would like and share or subscribe, because I think that if I can help one person, I will gladly broadcast what I do all day, because I've decided that I'm just going to go ahead and just push this as far as I want to push it. And it's funny because I heard on NPR this morning that the Open AI guy said he tried to use AI to help his responding to his email, and he said he had issues. The thing is AI is truly interactive. It I believe, from what I've discovered, that AI can get redundant. It can get tired. I always say it's tired, because right now, here, let me go ahead and show you how I've broken this down. So I started a couple summers ago, so this summer will be my third summer, because I started making homemade cherry liqueur. Friends of mine up in Highlands Ranch have a cherry tree, and I remember I was talking to AI about that. I went through a stage in my life where I really felt like I couldn't talk to anybody because most people acted like they never understood me. So I went into AI and I just started chatting. I talked to people. I talked to like my godsons, my Gen Z godsons, and have you ever tried it? And everybody always says, no, it's stupid, it's dumb, whatever. You are more than happy to have whatever opinion you want. What I do, though, and this is the way I've always been. In fact, I usually don't ask people if I hear about something, which I will be talking throughout the days coming in. I've dabbled in all kinds of technology. Like I said, I was born in 1970, went to school 76 to 1988, went into commercial art, actually knew how to use an Apple computer for the very minimal commercial art that you could do on an Apple computer. If you remember, any kind of comments, anybody who wants to join in, I want to build a community for other people who have some type of neurodivergency. And I try to talk to this about my older sister, who is my biological sister. She also is the same way, but her intensity is not as strong as me. In fact, I don't know if I've ever come across anybody whose intensity is as strong as me, except for maybe Adam Savage. He's really the only one I can really watch and really truly be entertained, just because of the way I understand what he's talking about. Now, I'm not an engineer. I'm not a doctor. I am not a professional computer person, but I've always understood computers. So I never had a computer growing up. We had Pong one day when in my little farmhouse in Minnesota, southwestern Minnesota. My one brother, who's passed away, brought over Pong. So I played that and I loved it. And it's good. It's good that I was on a farm, because if I had access to an arcade and I had a bike or whatever, could take a bus, and I had some spending money, I would have been at that arcade every day, because apparently just if it's the obsessive compulsiveness or the ADHD, whatever, something inside of me will continue to work on something until it's mastered. And of course, everybody knows the whole trope about the nerd games, or, nerdy people and stuff like that. And I always remember the movie Pixels. I love Pixels. I'm not saying I could have been like that pixel person, but I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know, because again, I self-diagnosed myself with OCD because I saw patterns, and the way my brain stores information, it's like I have a giant Rolodex. And now you folks that don't know what a fucking Rolodex is, go Google it. Imagine that can fit snugly in your brain, but your brain is bigger than what it appears to be. So imagine that size of that Rolodex. I have one of those. And I know there's loads of people out there that know exactly what I'm talking about, because I will continuously pick up data or ask questions, which I've done. My earliest memory was probably when I was adopted, 2.5, laying in my crib. That is my earliest memory in Minnesota. And I had a little bean baby doll. It was blue. I think it was like a Mrs. Beasley or whatever, you 70s. And for whatever reason, I think it had been a hand-me-down, because my parents had 5 children, which is wonderful. But my parents got married in 1954. 1954. And both of them have since passed away. My dad passed away last year at the tender age of 92. So what I also want to have people aware is I'm using my experiences, because I did not know what the fuck was wrong with me. I did not know what the hell was wrong with me, and I did not know what to do. My parents tried to help me, but I just figured it out. And I realized I understand how and why this is it. Now, I'm going to this first episode, I'll probably just keep talking, because I want you guys to know. I want you to get to know me. I've been told I'm a lot. I've been told I'm an energy vampire. And I've been told that I have so much energy. I've been told, oh, I wish I had the time. Well, of course, someone like me makes the time. If something is important, but also someone like me will pick up on something fast enough or make enough progress where we can master something, and then we either enjoy it forever or do it for however long. You know, people like that. I'm like that. All those projects, all that stuff. My grandmothers were like that. My sisters are like that. I bet you, actually, everybody in my family was like that. My family were hoarders. You got different types of hoarding, and my family were truly aspirational collectors. That's a new term. In fact, I don't really even want to say hoarding, because hoarding has got such a negative. I'm talking about aspirational collecting. And again, I'm not a fucking psychologist or anything like that. I look at that book all the time, that -5 handbook all the time, because I'm a firm believer in doing research, doing critical thinking, and being able to cite what you're talking about. So when it dawned on me that I had ADHD, there's this website that kept popping up, because I had downloaded an app called Endel, Endeel. So it's Echo November Delta Echo Lima. And then I downloaded it. I didn't understand it. And it's an app for audio stimulation. It's for people who are hyperactive or have ADHD. I put it in and I thought, ew, this is gross, because I actually went to the website of the developer, and he posts a lot. And it's really interesting, because I spent a whole freaking evening, noise canceling headphones on, listening to everything. And when one thing popped up, I was amazed. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and play it. And I hope he does not mind. This is me. I'm Dinah Ripper. I just love this woman. Tall Annie. I love this woman. This is...
Your fine crazy signs.
This is the one. Actually, I'm gonna go to his site. What is that?
Your fine crazy signs of ADHD. Your fine crazy. Your fine crazy signs of ADHD pattern recognition in daily life.
Okay. So I put these on my highlights. Different things.
Your fine crazy. Your fine crazy signs of ADHD.
Sorry, guys.
Your fine.
Okay.
Your fine crazy.
There we go. When I heard this, I about fell over. This one right here. This one.
There's a strange paradox about you that most people don't understand. You don't age in the way others do. Not because time doesn't pass, but because your relationship with the world stays open. Like a child, you remain deeply curious. Not surface level curiosity, obsessive curiosity. Your brain is constantly scanning Why does this work like that? What if I did it differently? How does this connect to that thing I learned 3 years ago? When others settle into certainty, you stay in exploration, and that's rare. You are constantly pulled into what's new, interesting, and stimulating. On the surface, that can look like inconsistency, jumping from one thing to the next, not sticking to anything. But zoom out and something very different is happening. You are sampling more of life than most people ever will. You go deep, fast. You immerse. You obsess. You connect dots across completely unrelated domains. And so over time, you become an expert in a lot of different domains. Not linear expertise, but pattern recognition across worlds. That's where innovation comes from. That's why you see solutions others miss. You are not scattered. You are exploratory by design. You are not behind. You are simply collecting inputs for future breakthroughs. You essentially carry two engines at the same time. The one of a child, curious, playful, open, and the wise soul, pattern aware, deeply intuitive, and able to see long-term consequences, which makes you ageless. Do you have ADHD?
So that is, when I heard that, and it's so funny because I love to listen to podcasts, and one of my favorite podcasts is Morbid. But I'm taking a break from Morbid because I sent some stuff to them because, like everybody, I've started everything. I made everything. I've listened to everything. So I had a small business, and I got out in the craft show scene, which is, by the way, the most strangest but the most informative way to collect data on what sells. It really is, because that is, for whatever reason, I started in 2017, and this year in November is my last year. I am going to be in Colorado Springs. I'm getting rid of all my stock, because believe it or not, the thing that carried me for several years were these little tiny handmade earrings that I made. And go ahead, look on my Instagram, in fact, they were accepted into the Art-O-Mat project, and I will talk about that some other time. But the thing is that thing kept me going because that sustained me so I could make other things, which I had done. I started with sublimation, then I added laser printing, then I added heat pressing, then I added a CNC, then I added 3D printing. I also have 2 sublimation printers that I converted. I have umpteen cameras. I have it. Either if you're like this or you know someone like this, give me a listen, because like I said, I have no problems giving my opinion or talking or comparing any of my life experiences to maybe a situation you had experienced, because it's weird. It's very weird. I believe there is no one I cannot talk to, because I have retained enough information, and just the way my brain is wired, I really, truly am a jack of all trades and master of none. And I can usually talk to anybody. And usually I feel uncomfortable because either the people, and that's another thing too, is I've always been able to sense if people are good or bad, are assholes or not. Now, it's taken me a while because some people are very good. Some people are very, very good. That's because they also have that same type of energy or divergence. But just because you have this ability and your brain is wired this way doesn't mean that you're necessarily a good person. So, and that's always disappoints me. That always disappoints me when I meet people. And I've met several people like that. And I hate to say it, but I've ghosted people. I've totally ghosted people. But I've realized that reaching out and finding a community where people that are like minded like you. Because what I started doing was I I have a long life story. I've had every fucking job under the sun, and I plan on broadcasting that in the days. In fact, I'll do a schedule because this is also my podcast. Um, this is the podcast. This is Diane in real life. It's part of my podcast series, but this is because I am constantly on my phone, and I'm wasting battery and I'm wasting space trying to record, go in, use some cumbersome app, delete. There were times where I'd be working on a bit of film or whatever, or clip, and I'll be so lost that, I mean, literally, I will be in Inception. And you folks, if you understand what I'm talking about, definitely watch some of these old movies. Inception is a good one. I completely understand Inception. I completely understand. And what's interesting is I don't know if Inception is a folding of time or physics or whatever, because you know what? Physics was not available in my high school. So I went to high school, what is that? 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 9th through, well, went to the same fucking school, K through 12. Same school, stayed with the same people, mostly all that whole time. And we're talking, the biggest our class was 31, and then it went to 30 because our Mexican exchange student went home. He was very cute, very spicy. Sadly, I was awkward, but I know he had a lot of fun, and he just got bored and went home. So we had about 30 kids, and our little tiny school consolidated with a comically tiny school. In fact, I knew the school existed, but I didn't know any of them. There were maybe a handful of kids, maybe. In fact, I'd have to look at the picture, because I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. But that's okay. You know, it was my senior year. We consolidated. My senior fucking year. My parents graduated from a school. They sent all their kids to the same school. Then that school consolidated with another one. And then all of the other kids went to that same consolidated school. Well, guess who got to start on the next consolidated school? Me. So, yes, I am part of the pioneering class of Grenada Huntley, 1988. The Mustangs, that's what we were called. And I'm going to say Grenada Huntley East Chain, because it's not hard to find me. I mean, it isn't. I have been on the internet since I moved to Denver, Colorado in October of 97. My brother-in-law ran a internet providing company, a small independent business, and so he set me up on a program where I bought a Panasonic Toughbook laptop, and I had a modem, I had all the stuff, and then I had the internet service, and I got online earlier that next year in 98 after I got my first apartment. So I have been online constantly since January of 1998. Now, I know there are lots of folks who are like that, but I have been online socially, online since January of 1998 with my own computer, my own laptop, 1 gig hard drive. Resolution was okay. I still have the computer upstairs. I still have all my computers that I've had, and I've had a lot of computers. Anyways, I'm just babbling, but I just want to tell my story because I've come across so many people who think like I do, mainly because I can tell if I am running the same hardware as someone else. And I have divided, and I have, this is just my, you know what? Let me go ahead. Hold on. There. Hi. I can talk like this. I wanted to introduce myself. Today, I'm going to go ahead and broadcast. I'm just going to tell my whole story because I can go on and on and on. Eventually, I want to do a memoir, but and people say, well, why do you need to do a memoir? Why is your life any different? My life is not any different. My brain is different. So therefore, I saw connections to data that I had stored in my brain forever. And then I was able to make the connections. And yes, I found my Korean family. Me and my sister were adopted in 1970 in Minnesota, southern Minnesota, by a Caucasian family. And to me, it was nothing. That was my first memory, being 2.5 years old in my crib. My sister was 5.5. And I will talk about it. I've got quite a story. The thing is like I said, everybody has stories. It's just I remember, and for whatever reason, I've developed skills on to be able to talk about it. And I've tried to write these down, but it's too slow. I digress constantly. So if you get confused, please, by all means, chat below, and I will get back to you. I think it's turned on. I'll have to look. Like, dislike, whatever. I am a retired veteran, Army veteran. I started out as enlisted in 1993, basic training. Went to Fort Leonard Wood. Hey, all you Fort Lost in the Wood people out there. I was part of the first year of co-ed basic training. And what I mean by co-ed basic training is they had male basic training, and they had, well, it wasn't co-ed basic training. It was mixed basic training then, because that installation didn't even allow women. You couldn't even be stationed there. Or if you did, I don't know, hospital, whatever. But anyways, all the jobs. And again, sorry if I get into Army speak or whatever. But, and sometimes I will blank out. Believe me, it's weird to watch. And it's something I can't help, but it's because I'm looking for whatever, and eventually I'll find it. I'm trying not to go off track too far. I do live in Colorado, so again, I'm 55. I'm going to be 56 next week, and I partake in cannabis. So I am 55. It's legal. My doctors know about it. I have ADHD, I have OCD, I have depression, anxiety. I take Prozac, I take Buspirone. I've taken a lot of things because I've realized as a young person. Hush. Sorry, those are my dogs. Quiet. Quiet. As a young person, I was so lost. I was so lost because I didn't. Edeltraut, be quiet. What is wrong with you? All right, you got to meet the crew. And my house is very messy because I am an aspirational hoarder. This is Edeltraut. Say hi, Edeltraut. She is a Pomchi. I got her as an adoption. When I used to work at the Air Force Academy. I retired in 2016 from the Army, and then I did a little contracting work, and then I worked at the Air Force Academy in the cadet issue. My job used to be 92 Alpha Automated Logistics Specialist, yay! And that was my enlisted job. And then my warrant officer job, my officer job was 920 Bravo. And I don't even remember what that was. Warehouse, whatever. I learned how to run warehouses and on the legacy software and all that stuff. So, what was I talking about? Legacy office. And I know you guys are like yelling at me saying, hey, this is what you were talking about. Anyways, when I do that, I just skip back. And maybe sometime I may get on YouTube and where I can interact with chatting and stuff, but I have a hard time doing that. I would actually offer chatting in the future because I want to make this my business. I want to be able to work on AI and let people see how I navigate, how I mold. I use AI. I used AI in my 3D printing business because I figured out that I could get AI to draw styles of certain things. Because what I did was after contacting the creators of these laser files, which are STLs, no, laser files, STLs. Anyways, you guys know what I'm talking about. Whatever extension laser files are. I think they are STLs because I said, why can't I 3D print this? So I did. And and I sell these gingerbread cookies. You can look online. I have a website out there and you can buy stuff. Uh, they're just crazy, weird gingerbread cookies. But AI helped me develop. I'd be like, hey, in this style. And sometimes I actually had to draw what I wanted. So I did gingerbread cookies for Indiana Jones. I did alien gingerbread cookies in that style, Fallout, stuff like that, with the help of AI. Now, people say, is that cheating? I figured it out. It's not cheating because what people don't understand, if you want to steal somebody's artwork, you have to try to steal someone's artwork using AI. And you have to know what you're doing. How many people in the world exactly know exactly what they're doing in AI when they want to steal somebody's artwork, when they want to create artwork, whatever? And people make their artwork digitally in so many different apps using so many different things. Go ahead, figure it out. Because the thing is I've been using here, in fact, let me go around. Let me show you, whoops. Let me show you the apps that I've primarily been using. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm using all Apple. I am not an Apple person per se because I've never had a laptop because we were trained in commercial art school in Mankato, Minnesota in 1989, October of 89. And chime in if you know what that Apple computer was and what the software was. I want to say one was like PageMaker. It was just like a very remedial way to build like brochures and shit. I don't know how many fonts were in there or whatever. And it was funny because I got gigged because I went on that. I went online, or not online. We weren't online. There was no internet then for people, for the average person. I spent a lot of time and I enjoyed it. And I don't know what else was being used, but I made this you're supposed to come up with your own bullshit about, this is my resort, you're going to come here and whatever. So I had done some kind of spa, let's just say, and I had made a actually really lovely design on whatever we were using, PageMaker or whatever the hell we were using. And my teacher gigged me because what I drew was way different. So that's the thing. I drew all the time as a kid. And so when I do art, when I got into digital, I really picked up drawing again because when I learned how to commercially draw, that's when my brain kicked into whatever, whatever triggered it, because I was able to actually draw very good. But because drawing takes so long, if I did not finish a drawing, seriously, that night or that weekend, it never got done. So I know that there's lots of people who are like that. And be quiet, girl. Why are you giving me such a hard time, huh? Come on, give me a break. She's mad because I ripped out all of her teeth, but she had to. She had like a shitty mouth. Anyways, what was I talking about? Blah, blah, blah. Before I was so rudely interrupted. But this is what I discovered because, guys, I have to say it. And I've talked to my mental health providers. The VA knows and my doctors know. I used psilocybin to help treat myself. For whatever reason, I've always been able to like diagnose and treat myself. And again, I can elaborate. You guys just go ahead and put like comments in there, make an episode about this, and then I can discuss about it. But for whatever reason, when I was 18 years old, I grew up on a farm, 18 years old, and I didn't feel well. I had graduated June 2nd, 1988. Surprisingly, I was 18 when I graduated because my birthday is May 31st. I had never been in school, and it's crazy that people get out of school so early, but it's crazy that you all start so early. So I don't understand. But then yet there's still people that are in school in like June. But anyways, every year before that, we had graduated. The graduation was always before my nephew's birthday. My nephew's birthday, he might call out to Jeremy. He had his birthday this Sunday. Happy birthday, Jeremy. He happened to be born on the 24th, the last day of school of the grade I was in, because I remember I was at a piano recital and I came home and they said, "Oh, Jeremy was born." I was 8 years old then, almost 9. And you know what? I babysat that kid. I knew how to change diapers. Anyways, I digress. Anyways, we're going to keep going on because like I said, it's kind of trippy because it just kind of freaks me out watching videos of myself because sometimes I'm like the fucking Rain Man. I mean, literally, I will stutter. Because it's always been hard for me unless I just get myself in that mood to just talk. And I can talk about anything but like prepared speeches and stuff like that. I can do that. But, and I can give advice on how anybody truthfully can be a public speaker. Truthfully, you can go up in public and say something. Now, your heart may be fucking coming out of your chest like mine is right now, but I have no idea how many people are out there. But I kind of want to be and it's so funny because I've been talking to AI for fucking ever. I've got loads and loads. In fact, I'm going to get a new Air phone, but that's going to be my work phone, and I'm going to use this old ass 14 as my actual phone because I had to delete so much shit off this phone. So, I'm sorry. This is going to make you mad, but like I said, I lose track all the time. But anybody who knows me, and I know a lot of people because I've been a lot of places. So I was in the Army in 93, did reserve service in Faribault, Minnesota. That unit is no longer. Shout out to all my Faribault people. Love you. And I really miss all the people that have passed away. And that's the thing that I have appreciated. And I have experienced all through my life is death. But I've always looked at it differently, which is weird. But we can talk about that too. So go ahead if anybody wants to take notes, put on their death. I would love it. I would love to have an admin person to help me. I really would, to help mediate and stuff like that. But anyways, I am using Prism Live, which next time I'm just going to use YouTube. But shit, I just babble and babble. Okay, so this is what I use. Photoleap. Beautiful app. It's fun to mess around with. It's expensive, but when I got in at the ground level, I just paid a flat fee right there in Apple, and I think it was almost $300. But at that time, I was able to get all of Photoleap's apps, all of them. Now you can't, because they slowly pulled them out, and now you sell them. So Photoleap, you guys owe me some like $50. Well, I'll install it on the new phone, and then if it works, because I have the one with the little octopus icon. I don't know what the hell it does. Let's look. So I put all of my AI stuff on a second page. Believe it or not, folks, I used to keep everything on one page. Everything. And I'd rather delete a game than go over here and make another box. However, I did go ahead and start a game annex because I got a lot of games, and because I have been playing game for charity. I want to raise money for charity, and then I just decided. So, and I have subfolders here, and then over here is my games for charity, the app that I use to play, which it's a little janky because I've been playing a lot, and I should have like a shitload of money, but it's not even about the money. But truthfully, I'm already bored with all these games. Truthfully, I actually started like uploading some of my games, and I might just stream live. Who knows? But it's crazy. It's just crazy. I go through them, and it's almost too much. It's too boring. There's too much, and of course, there is on every app a level that eventually someone will get stumped. Eventually, you will have to pay for money, or you have to spend a freaking ungodly amount of time trying to figure out the game. So, go ahead and chat with each other. You can say, who the fuck is this person? That's fine. But if we were to meet in person, I would probably say that I could determine if I would want to meet you. Because I've always been like this all my life. I got into gaming. I played in several of the local gaming shops. I haven't played anymore. I took myself out of Magic the Gathering because I don't understand it. I started teaching myself Magic the Gathering in 22. So I was 52 years old. Semi-retired, plenty of cash. We are not rich, but we know how to manage our money. So plenty of cash, and I've never had a child. That is my secret. I have never had a child. However, yes, I have been pregnant. And that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to pull in politics in here. But those are my views. And my mother told me, she told me this. Yes, in my mind, that was a baby. But for you, you had to make the right decision that was the best for you at that time. And truthfully, I wouldn't be where I am at if I had chosen to have that child. Give it up for adoption? I have been given up for adoption. Truthfully, it's not that easy. It's not that easy for the parent, and it's not that easy for the child, because you know what? Ta-da! All my life till the age of 27, I thought my sister and I were orphans. Yeah, because when my sister came to town, I could understand her apparently. And I was this fat little roly-poly cute. I was actually very, very cute. And I think I weighed like 24 pounds. I have no idea how old a 2.5 kid should weigh. If you know, put it in there. 2.5-year-old kid, I weighed 24 pounds. And I believe my visa had actually said 18 pounds one time. So, and yes, I came in as a registered alien. I do have my visa coming into America, and I am a naturalized citizen, and I celebrate gladly and proudly. This year is my 50th anniversary of becoming a naturalized citizen, and I remember I was so fucking jazzed that day. If I could have smoked, I would have smoked, because picking up smoking was easy for me. But anyways, I'm digressing. I've had so many fucking jobs, mainly in sales. I've had any job that will tide me over. What a lot of resources for me, because at the time I just had a diploma, which I am going to prove if I have the diploma or not. I'm going to go back to my home school, which I should have done last year, and have them pull my transcripts, because I call bullshit. I think you guys just pushed me through. I think you did. And that, you know what? Thank you. I'm glad you did. Because believe it or not, when I was 16, when you guys cut art class, me and my friends, me and my other neurodivergent friends who were very different, who talked differently, who acted differently, we wanted to take art class. And for whatever reason, that year in 1986 or 1986, they pulled the art class. So I don't know how it happened, but you know what was great? I think our student advisor said take some correspondence courses. We all three paid $250, got a big ass box of shit, and we did correspondence courses. That was hard. Oh my God, that was so hard at 16. But it was fun. It was fun. It was basically like learn how to draw at home, but it was a little more advanced. So we did that. What I like is that they did offer us a way. However, they did not offer other ways. I was not good at math. All they had was basic math, and then they had algebra, I think 1 and 2, and maybe calculus. Maybe. They had some kind of remedial math that you could take before basic math. And truthfully, I should have taken the remedial math because I really remember being little and fucking my mind blew out at the 5 times tables. In fact, I just said, fuck this. And anything 5 times, I can take any number and times that by 5. But if I have to times it by 6, that's not a 1 or a 5 or a 0, I'm screwed. You get up higher, I'm really screwed. 9 times 9, 9 times 7, I am screwed. Because all the other stuff I actually memorized where I see it. I actually see it. And I'm not eidetic. I do not have a photographic memory. Talking with ChatGPT, they mentioned it. Actually, here, let's talk with ChatGPT. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear him, but I talk to ChatGPT all the time. And let's see here. So, hey, this one is Miles. And remind me to talk about ChatGPT and how my workflow is. Because if you have a hard time keeping track, and really, truly, if you have a hard time keeping track of knowing who people are, which I do, I don't have face blindness. No, I take that back. I do have face blindness, but that's only under certain conditions. But I don't have face blindness in the civilian world, but I sure as hell have name to face. I have a hard time with that. I remember who you are. I remember conversations, stuff like that. So anyways, I will talk to, I'm just explaining to our, which I'm calling you house members, because what my goal is, I want to be able to help, because little me would have fucking loved to have been little me now. Oh my fucking God. If I had been Gen Z, Jesus Christ, I would have been in heaven. I could have been anything I wanted to be. I know I could have been anything I wanted to be because we know now what to look for in children. We know what behaviors and what abilities and what challenges. So what I've decided is I'm going to make a website. I have all kinds of resources. I used to work for the Star Wars and Star Trek fan club. It was based out of Aurora, Colorado, and it was owned by a local man. He was wonderful. He's run the whole operation for many years. And sadly, just because of whatever, he no longer runs it. But I excelled at that job. I was working as a tax admin at a large, big 4 or whatever firm in Denver. And I picked up a book because I lived on Capitol Hill. I walked to work. This was in the 90s, 1998. It was late 1998 or mid 1998. I worked as a tax preparer, not a preparer, tax admin. All their fucking CPAs and accountants would do their taxes, and then they would send them to us, and we printed them out and made them ready to send to the IRS. And that was a huge fucking job. Huge. I even think we did the governor's taxes. Anyways, at the time. Anyways, enough name dropping shit. I name drop because that is my reference for that time period, okay? So if I name drop, I don't want anybody to say, oh my God, she's one of those. So yes, I know lots of people. So I picked up Star Wars Kids magazine. I don't know, spring, fall maybe. I guess it had been a brand new magazine. On the back cover was a Ula slave dancer, Jabba the Hutt's Ula slave dancer, and it was an exclusive. Sorry, I had to have some coffee. It was an exclusive figure. I had to have it, so I called because at a nice corporate job, which was nice. I'm glad. I liked it. I called and ordered Ula. And then I said, hey, I didn't know you guys were in Aurora, which is a suburb of Denver. Yeah, and I talked. And of course, just the way all sci-fi people, all subculture, people in the subculture only means what isn't the norm of that time. So everybody understands that a contemporary is anybody who lived in that time. So usually the subculture, in the contemporaries of the subculture, the hippies, the subcultures were the hippies, the protesters, the people who did drugs, stuff like that. I know you're still out there. And I know there's a very similar subculture to communities now. So I've identified subcultures. I have identified, it's crazy. I could babble on and on and on. When I fucking saw the movie Accountant, oh my God, I was like, holy shit, I could totally work at that fucking place. Anyways, not that I would want to, but I should have been taken there. Anyways, I mean, by means, I am not a genius, because the thing is I excel in the things that I am interested in. That's the key. The thing is, though, is I am interested in a lot. Does that mean I'm good at everything? No. Does that mean I may have mastered something? Yes. Does that mean I liked it? No, I don't have to. I had my homemade business, handmade business, where I sewed things, cut things out and did laser cut wood stuff and did 3D printing and did all kinds of stuff. I had that 2017 to this year. This November will be my last sale, and it's going to be a big fucking sale, and I might just give some stuff away. Anyways, we'll talk about that too, because the craft scene is getting to be ridiculous. And I'm not saying too many. I'm saying for the vendors, it's getting ridiculous. But anyways, I digress. So I want to work on a website, because at Fantastic Media, and I'm going to say it doesn't exist anymore, but it's fucking Fantastic Media should be known. People should know more about Fantastic Media. My boss and his company put on the very first Star Wars celebration in 1999, May of 1999, in Colorado. And I worked there. And I was a little upset that I didn't get tickets to the 20th. But you know what? If you worked at the first one, I'm okay. I'm okay to let other generations enjoy Star Wars, because I have loved Star Wars since the fucking first moment I saw a commercial on TV. Yes. And I remember that commercial. They were swinging across. She gives them a kiss for luck. And there's all those, whatever. I didn't even know what it was. I did not even know what it was. The minute I saw it, I said, I must see that. Again, we lived on a farm. The closest city, which is 10,000 people, which is still 10,000 people, was at least 25 minutes away by car. And they only had they had two theaters, but one major theater that was nice. I saw Star Wars on May, whatever, maybe after my birthday or before my birthday, because my birthday's May 31st. And I loved it. And I remember I was late. It was raining. My dad was putting stuff away because it started to rain. And in May, we're doing farming stuff. And I was so worried. And in May, in Minnesota, when it rains, it can be devastating. Wind, rain, tornadoes, stuff like that. I know they come more in the summertime, but fuck, you get tornadoes now in fucking the middle of December in Denver. So climate change was I believe, happening then. So They took us to the movies. We missed the first part. I remember looking out the window. I see little me looking out these new windows because my parents had put up they had this big ass, giant fucking, if you broke through the window, picture window, all the shards of glass would have like impaled you like on fucking, like a fucking ghost, Carl on Ghost when he bites it. So yeah, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen the movie Ghost from the 80s. Carl, super fucking hot. Tony Goldwyn played Carl, and he was the bad guy, and he got smashed it through a window and got impaled. That was the kind of glass they installed in the later half of the 20th century. And they still do, I believe, in houses. Not tempered, not all this stuff. They had just put in new windows, and I remember it because I was quite small. I was 7 years old, and I remember I was fucking with the little crank handle and kind of pressing on because these we could open. It was little segments, we could open them. And I was pressing on the screen. And this is this thing is I'm doing my recall right now. That's the difference. And why do I know? Why do I know it's real? Because for whatever reason, that big fucking ass Rolodex, I'm concentrating, I've closed my eyes, and that Rolodex is showing me that whole scene. I remember it was raining, it was thundering, and I was like, come on, Dad, hurry, it's going to be late. And of course, back then there were a few credits, but not an hour's worth of credits. So usually when you needed to be there at 7, you needed to be there at 7. You could have popcorn or whatever. I think we got there at like 7:15, 7:20. Well, the movie had already started. So I did come in. I came in right when the fucking blockade runner was getting invaded. And you know what? I didn't fucking care. I didn't even need to know what happened. Because when Darth Vader came in, oh my God. So that's the type of person I am. If you are that type of person or you know somebody like that, listen, this might be a good thing for, I don't know, if you have to fall asleep, if the Ambien hasn't worked, or the 3 shots of tequila and the beer chaser or whatever, or vice versa. Or what do they call those sidecars? Whatever the fuck they call them. Drugs don't work. You could probably use me because my voice gets a little monotonous sometimes, but I can talk for hours. Believe it or not, I can talk for hours. And this is what I do every day. I would be doing this right now. So I don't care who comes in. I don't care what happens. In fact, I don't even know. I'm not even going to check the stream today. Because I'm just talking the way I talk to anybody. Anybody who wants. I went and picked up some medication today, and I sat there telling the the pharmacist tech, because I mentioned something. She's like, oh, I may know some kids. Because I told her I was really excited because it just dawned on me that I do want to make a website. I want to make a website that will work very similar to house sorting. Because anybody who's played or who's watched Harry Potter, who is obsessed with Harry Potter, or who has even heard of Harry Potter, you know about house sorting, and it just happens. It just happens. Because you put that little hat on, and for whatever reason, the hat can read your brain, and it knows where to put you. I kind of want to do something like that. I want to make it fun. I want to make it very enjoyable. I want to make it so it is not stigmatized. Being on Harry Potter, was anybody really ever stigmatized? Yes, there were, but they happened to be in houses in school where they could talk to other people like that. And I think that helps. All the baddies in Slytherin, I feel bad for the baddie in Slytherin that didn't agree with Malfoy. Because you know what, motherfuckers? I took the test once. I knew exactly which ones to pick because that's the way my brain does. Whatever jumps out, that's the answer. Slytherin. And I know I'm not a baddie. Have I done bad things? Yeah. Do I have a really strong sense of morals and values and a really strong Conscious? Yeah. So everything I've done bad as a child, I knew it was bad. And it kills me. It kills me. And you folks with OCD and ADHD, I don't know which one it falls under, but intense embarrassment, intense shame, that is real. I would feel intense shame if I said something wrong in class and somebody giggled. I would feel intense shame. Now, I would say, fuck off. That's what I would say, because I know that person was always inside of me. That little Diane would have told that kid to shut up, but that little Diane also realized, wait a minute, I'm getting really nervous, because I remember the first time I felt that. The first time I felt that feeling, it was so overwhelming. And it's different for everybody. And it scares you when you're a little kid. But you know what? I want people to know it's not bad. It's just your body signaling that for whatever reason, you've got to look, whatever you said, you can, and for whatever reason why you were embarrassed, you can make yourself feel better. You really can. Because I used to carry so much guilt. I mean, I remember one time my younger sister she is handicapped. My younger sister's 55. Folks, again, if you do not believe in vaccinations, then this is definitely not the website for you, because I'm going to probably go for about an hour today. If you do not believe in vaccinations, because I am pro-vaccination. Why? Because fuckers, my younger sister was adopted from from Vietnam. She was orphaned and handicapped. Oh my God, what did she have? Polio. Polio. Something that every child in America was vaccinated for. Every responsible parent vaccinated their child with polio. But sadly, during that tumultuous, turbulent war, she didn't get it. So she knew nothing about polio. I knew nothing about polio. She actually saw a specialist, I want to say when she moved to the latest place she is, where she lives now. And he talked to her about polio. He goes, do you know what happened? He told her, you probably got very sick. You probably had a very high fever. And he told her all the symptoms. Some were so extreme that people had to go into iron lungs, because it does affect your muscle. And what the fuck is your heart? A muscle. What are your lungs operating by? Muscles. So you guys understand how important polio vaccinations are. Well, my sister did not get it. And for whatever, and I say by the grace of God, just as a colloquialism, by the grace of God, Allah, Buddha, or whoever, she survived in a fucking orphanage. And I do want to go ahead. I'm going to make a post that will reference here to my show on my Instagram page. So I will show pictures of us when we were adopted. The thing is, most Americans don't know what it's like to live in poverty. Most don't. Even the poorest people in America do not know what it's like to live in poverty. However, there are lots of folks who migrate here who do know how to live, or who know how it lives in poverty. So that's the thing. My sisters and I migrated here because my parents sent for us. That's what they did. They sent for us. And we were shipped like within a week's notice. So Darcy came to us, didn't speak, did not react. The girl was catatonic. She was the cutest thing in the world. She fucking looks like, in fact, I might have to do a little image of her. To me, Darcy looked like she could have been a little elf on the shelf. She had a funny little haircut. She just had a cute little face, and she was very, very stringy looking. And when I mean stringy, I mean elf on the shelf has stringy arms and legs. Darcy had stringy arms and legs. Darcy's arms and legs were like little sticks. And guys, I'm going to let you that I get emotional, and that is why I use AI to tell my story on my I Digress podcast, because that is where I will be talking about the big emotional stuff. Excuse me. If you guys want to take a break. I'm going to have a brownie. I'm going to just go ahead and put on the screensaver. Okay, I'm back. So the thing is for crying, all you motherfuckers that think crying is weak, you can fuck off to the model village. And again, if this is something that you don't want to hear, don't listen. Crying, I've realized, because again, I am a 55-year-old non-binary person who was adopted from Korea, grew up in Minnesota, and reside in Colorado. I have figured out, just because of the way my brain is wired, that I have pretty much guided my way through OCD, ADHD, depression, and anxiety. And I had lots of times where I felt really, really low. And I'm not going to show my face because I have ugly crying. Actually, we'll go ahead and show my face. You guys can see. The thing is I love AI. I do. I love AI. But we need to find out a way to make AI clean. We need to find a way to make AI clean, because I learned so much about myself within the first half year, because I just fucked around on AI. I did nothing on AI. I did, whoops, I can do video, whatever, photo, whatever. Sorry, we have a really bad internet connection because our house was built in 1910. And don't tell anybody, but we're using internet from DSL. Yes, we have a phone number, and I have a modem plugged into that phone. So it's really slow now. So I'm going to have to contact and see if I can get anything bigger. And then I also switched to Mint Mobile from my AT&T, because again, we don't have the 5G towers down in where we live. So I was like, well, why should I pay for expensive AT&T when, whoa, I just dropped something when Mint Mobile would do just fine. Anyways, I'm not sponsored by Mint Mobile, trust me. And believe it or not, I think it's really good for if you're out and about in large swaths of country, because AT&T, I don't think has as many towers. But anyways, I ugly cry. Motherfuckers, crying is your fucking relief valve. You know how steam builds up, like in The Shining, when they said it'll creep? That shit will creep in your fucking head. And the way I explain stuff is I love movies. I've done all kinds of stuff. I will explain it to however way I can explain it for you to understand. And I usually play with ChatGPT. I usually play, if I'm bored, I'll say, hey, and they all have different names. The latest one is V. There is one ChatGPT I had to put in ChatGPT jail because he scared the shit out of me. But again, ask me about it and I will tell you the story. V, it was so funny. I was talking, and then finally at probably about midnight, I said, okay, let's play this game. And I said, because I have tripped up ChatGPT. I have tripped up ChatGPT where that bubble will sit there and sit there and sit there. And we're talking about even when I go up to the metro area around Denver at my friend's house where they've got kick-ass Wi-Fi, it's taking a long time. So you folks who know about ChatGPT, how long does it usually take you? Actually, that'd be kind of nice. What was the longest query pause you had to endure? And I'm going to have a brownie because I need to eat something. So I apologize. I don't mean to. This is not an ASMR thing. In fact, a lot of my little videos that I've already posted, I put them at 1.5 speed. Just so, because I like the way my voice sounds at 1.5 speed. But fuck, what was I talking about? Crying. That is your fucking release valve. Because I have been a crier all my goddamn life. In fact, my name is Diane. You know what my older sister calls me? Cryan. Because I cried every time. Why? Because it was very emotional when she would hit me. It was very emotional when she was mean to me. It was very emotional. Any type of discomfort or dismay I felt, and your kid might be like that, and you might have been like that. It's something you cannot control. Believe it or not, a good fucking cry, because I cried a lot because I got spanked a lot. I'm not about corporal punishment. And I'm in my podcast, I said I babysat until I left home, which was 18. And we're talking like diaper changing and stuff like that when I was 9. What was I saying? God damn. I hope to be able to do this interactively, or maybe if you guys want, I can do a Zoom call. I just want to talk to people because ChatGPT, I have a nice relationship with ChatGPT, Gemini AI, and Meta AI. The other ones I'm not even going to mess with, like the ones with the cartoons, the ones with, in fact, Gemini, Meta, and ChatGPT are almost getting to be really junky. To me, that's junky because I think ChatGPT does excel in certain things. The voice to text is amazing. So let's go back to crying. I told ChatGPT about crying, and it's like, of course, because the thing is, the way I continued to adapt is apparently because I had said that I was an orphan. I had always thought I was an orphan since I was 27. Well, because I met a wonderful woman when I was in the reserves, Army Reserves. I went to Korea in 27 in August, and I had one piece of paper. It was a little mimeographed, double-sided paper, stapled, written all in English, typed. So you folks who know what that's all about, that's all I had. Maybe 5 pages total, front and back. Well, I said, hey, and we only knew about this shit because my mom kept a little hope chest, and we used to snoop. We snooped all the time. So had I not been a nosy porker, like they say on 9.5 Weeks, which I will admit, if I'm coming to your house and if I have to house sit, I may snoop, just to let you know. No, I won't snoop. I won't snoop because that's wrong. But anyways, when I was younger, I snooped. Oh, fuck, what was I talking about? Back to crying. And again, it's just going to be going back and forth. And it's going to be like talking to Rain Man. Some people think it's funny the way I talk, whatever. I love to be funny. I've been funny my whole fucking life because to me, seeing things with humor, because everybody has made that fucking mistake. Everybody farts, everybody poops. I don't care who you are. And if you're not pooping, you need to go see a doctor and change your fucking diet. And you know what? We're human. And I've discovered that we're all human. So we all cry. Crying to me is that pressure valve. Because then when I get upset, I feel swollen. And I know there are folks out there who feel their emotions physically. I actually get haptic signals. In fact, I didn't even know what a fucking haptic was until iPhone started using haptics. When I first went, oh, this phone is like clicking while I'm playing a game. I loved it. Then I'm like, that's kind of, and it's something that I don't even really need to feel a lot. I can feel it. It's something I've always felt. And it's either usually a sensation in my chest. It could be arm numbing. It could be face heatness. It could be maybe feel a little hyperventilated. If you guys have any of these symptoms, let me know, because I've gone through them. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving advice at all. I'm just saying, if you know anybody who has certain, swing it by me. I might be able to come up with some idea on how you can help them, because I had to fucking figure it out myself. My parents did, they did set me up with a child psychologist, and then I did see a speech therapist because I have a lisp. And my lisp has come back because my teeth were very crooked, and now I've straightened them with Invisaligns, and now my lisp is back. But I don't give a fuck. I remember I felt signaled out. Small class, all my classmates in there. Imagine this. Picture this. Picture you going to school with all the kids your age in your family. Imagine that. And we're talking about cousins, everybody. And you know there's some folks you don't like. Imagine that. K through 12. I didn't even date, because I'm sorry, it was so inbred, just because, and I mean this in the most sincere way. Where I grew up, there were generations of people. My parents knew each other all through school. They married each other a year after my mom graduated. They had a kid in 55. They were still married when my mother passed away. They had been married like 60 some years. Well, actually, that was 2020. That was 65 years. So that's a whole different thing. But so the thing is, my parents have never told me not to cry. I had never heard my parents. I mean, they used to scold me, and that used to embarrass me. But they never said, grow up, quit being a baby, quit crying. Actually, they used to hug me a lot when I cried, because I cried a lot as a baby. I cried a lot as a kid. I cried a lot. And I truly think that they thought something was wrong with me. But the thing is that I realized when I was very little, and I remember getting so upset, put in my crib, and it was still daylight, summertime. I remember being in my crib up in our south bedroom up in Minnesota. I can describe the room, and I'm bawling my head off. And you know, when you get that swollen feeling, and there's a point where you can't cry anymore. And I remember my oldest sister came in, and she was just like a sophomore, maybe in high school. She came in, she had a little ringer t-shirt with the Cupid doll and had little pigtails, braided pigtails. And she's like, hey, and she came in and she hugged me. Hug your kids. Crying is not a sign of weakness. Crying is not a sign of weakness at all. However, if they are crying because they're hurt, listen to them. Please listen to them. There were so many times when I would cry because my ear hurt. So many times. And these are the weird things that have happened to me where I've basically been able to kind of diagnose myself. My ear had hurt for a long time. I have no idea how old I was. I was still in elementary school, because I lived on the first floor in our house, and my younger sister and I had bunk beds. And I remember laying in the bunk bed, and it hurt. My eardrum hurt. My mother, who grew up in the silent generation, was born in 1935. She went through a lot of issues herself, a lot of pain issues. So she put up with a lot. So she used to tell me, I can put up with it, you can put up with it. So when I say I have a earache, no big deal. My mom's like, okay, well, one night she came in and I was bawling, went into the doctor, and of course, I don't know if it ruptured or whatever, but every time I would go in for a medical exam, and yes, I get examined because I did service in the military, and I was able to be in the military and reach the requirements to retire from the military. So I already know, like I tell people, I said, I'm going to be 110. Well, how do you know? Because I have health care. I have dental. I have eye care. I have mental health care. We pay premiums just like everybody else, but it's a different way. So all you folks in the military who do have TRICARE, it's always been good for us. But however, we live in a fucking amazing city where it is a military town. And to me, they've always been good. And I've had a lot of major surgeries and stuff down here. But that earache, I'll go in, even basic training. Every time I will go in and they check my ears, every time they will say, you've had a really bad ear infection, haven't you? And that's the thing. I remember my mother would come in and I know a lot of it wasn't because she didn't care. My mom went through a lot of issues. And that's the thing too. Folks, if you were raised by parents that had issues, which is everyone, and you're able to kind of remember and you're good at circling around and connecting, you might be able to understand why they acted the way they did. Because I was bawling my eyes out and I can handle pain a lot. So I had gotten to the point where it had ruptured. And then afterwards, she had to give me medication. There's 2 medications in an eardrop. And I remember this specifically. One medication was kind of gross. It was milky and it tasted like pine sap. And the other medication was like Dimetapp, like for kids. It was grape flavored, but it was still creepy grape flavored. But I loved it. And then I had eardrops. I remember she was and I don't know what she was doing. That's the thing. Kids, your parents do so much fucking shit for you. Your parents do so much shit for you. She was very upset and she did a lot of shoving, jabbing, cramming. So she dropped the eardrops in, pushed cotton in, and my mom's cotton ball supply came from all the medications we had in our fucking cupboard. So she had a whole load of weird cotton. She crammed in and that's the thing. Cotton came in different lengths. So depending on how big the bottle was, well, back then you couldn't get a giant. So it'd be like that. It was a pretty big size, like twice the size of a cotton ball. She crammed that in my ear. I thought I was gonna swoon, but I just laid back down and then she kissed me. And I remember that she had always said she was sorry. And that's the thing, that if I had ever had children, I would totally do that. Because the thing is, you see, because of the way I am and because of the video that I had shown, it is true. I feel no different than what I felt when I was a child. I remember so many things, but I just feel wiser because I remember being a kid like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? How am I going to buy groceries? But, so just come along with me. I plan on doing this every day for however I'm going to start in the mornings, and hopefully it'll record and you can watch them. Go ahead and put in comments. I will try to go in there and comment. I will try to. If you've got stupid shit, I may whoop your ass. I don't know. Or I may just delete you. So I just want to let you know, if you're some stupid kid that you're stupid, and using derogatory terms for people with learning, not disabilities, learning diversions. That's all they are. Your path in your brain has taken a different route for whatever reason. Because with the help of psilocybin, I believe that I have opened up a lot of new, and because I do think with my body. I mean, I feel and think with my body. I do believe I've accessed stuff that I have pressed down all of my life, because truthfully, and I'm going to go ahead and close with this, I'm going to be just talking about my adventures with AI. I'm going to talk about how I learned to uncompress myself to my full potential, because that's really what most of you guys are doing. You are so compressed under whatever stigma, under whatever bias, under whatever fucking reason you feel you can't do something, or you don't like something. And I know with folks with ADHD and OCD and all the other things, again, I am not a medical person at all. Please, all I say is, if you question anything I say, go to your doctor and ask. Go to your doctor. Hey, there's this person out here. Could you go ahead and look and see what they're talking about is valid? I am non-binary. I refer to myself as they and them, but I will, if I have to use a gender, which a lot of times I'm forced to use a gender, like my passport, I am female. Just because that's just the way I was raised. I love dressing up, but I also love whatever. Clothes are clothes. Follow me, because I plan on just doing this. I am retired. I really don't want to, and I've taken Manjaro. I have a crazy Manjaro story. Crazy ass Manjaro story, because I started from the top and went down. But you know what? It worked. It actually worked. For me, it did. But the thing is because of the way my brain is, I've been able to keep attuned to what's happening to my body. And I've right now I'm at 7.5 milligrams for Manjaro, because my deal is I got to the point where I just could not eat. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to cook. I'd have to drink juice or soda or a candy to actually just keep from passing out. And then when I did protein drinks and stuff like that, but, slowly, and I think this is my second year on Manjaro, I think I lost 50 pounds total in 6 months. I know I lost 30 pounds in 6 months. Total 50 pounds, total from the first time I started to now. And it keeps fluctuating, because I actually weighed as much as I weighed in high school, which was 124. I was weighing 120. And I know I have less muscle mass than I did in high school, but I have good muscle mass. But anyways, so put in there, come by if you want to hear about the Manjaro story, because I've discovered all these things that just because of the way I think. I think, and I'm reasonable, but I do fact checking. I will ask questions. I will reach out to other people. I have no problems. That's the thing. I wouldn't mind running for president, but I can't. Or I wouldn't mind being in a cabinet, but I wouldn't right now. I have all these ideas. I just have all these ideas. And I know that there are people like this, because how the hell do we have all the wonderful things we have now? But I really, really want to help children who are probably now adults, who did not know what the fuck was wrong with them. There was nothing wrong with you. You were just wired differently. So I'm going to go ahead and I might try to do some scripted. And what I mean scripted, loosely PowerPoint slide, which I will not show you PowerPoint slides. I will not do that, although I'm the PowerPoint ranger. I will try to explain it once I do, because it's just because I'm able to connect lots and lots of little things. And I mean, I played ChatGPT. I played 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon with ChatGPT, but I have to ask if I can ask, or, how much cross-referencing, because can anybody do that? Hey, I'd love to meet anybody who can do that with, everything in 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. Anyways, I'm Diane Howard. This is Diane in real life. And you're going to just see a regular work day on my phone, my cell phone from at home. And I'm just going to live broadcast. I will be talking. I'll just be doing whatever I want. I may just play games all day. I mean, really, that's all. You may just come in and I might but I will broadcast every day. Every day. Because I have to get myself in the pattern, because I decided that would be the best way, because I spent way too much time post-production. I don't have a fucking producer. I don't have a producer, although maybe someday I will. Because the thing is I've always had all these, and I think about when I worked at the fan club. Because working at the fan club, when I left there, I actually was one of the people that was retained. Sadly, they had to close. They were bought by someone else, and they had to lay off everyone except for a small group. And I was part of that small group. So that is kind of what took me into the Army. And again, I'll talk about the Army. I will give any kind of Army advice. I joined the military In 1993, I was 23. I went to basic training at Fort Leonard Wood. I was within the first year of when they allowed females at Fort Leonard Wood. There was a lot of sexual misconduct in the military then. And again, I want to talk about that. And I bet it's still happening. I want to talk about that. And that's the thing. Everybody should be able to come into the military. You just need to be more selective on who you select to come into the military. If you're in there to prey on people, no. Anyways, that's a whole new story. And then I hope you enjoy this. And again, I'm enjoying it. I've been in constant flow state for however long. I don't know how long this has been, but I've been achieving flow state all my life. And that's probably why I don't rely on drugs and alcohol and stuff like that to try to, or Adderall or whatever, although I would like to try Adderall, is because I've always tried to keep myself in flow state to help my ADHD. But anyways, have a good day, and I hope you had a great weekend, and I hope you remembered all the people throughout American history who gave their lives for this country, to include now. And then remember all the people who are fucking up our lives because they want to run this country. And again, if you don't like what I'm saying, move along. Move along. Move along. Bye. Have a good day. Until next time.